analysis.
Hi, T. For ANSYS, I got a bit of O-Esberg for ya.
What are you doing, Sam?
I'm abating. I was trying to abbreviate everything.
Unsuccessfully. Why?
Well, today is all about my favourite abbreviated symphony, Arnold Schoenberg's Chamber Symphony No. 1. It's scored for 15 instruments and was premiered in 1907. It sounds like this. The piece tries to find the spot in the middle of the Venn diagram where the expectations we have of a symphony and the expectations we have of a single symphonic movement or sonata form overlap. So it's only about 20 minutes long.
If you want to hear a bit more about what sonata form is, then check out episode 9 in Series 1, where we explained it using the then Prime Minister, Theresa May.
God, won't it be good when we can say then Prime Minister Boris?
Could be next week.
It could be next week. But remember, people don't come here for the political satire, Tim. They come here for the jingles.
Jingle.
Broadly, the symphonic form established over the late 18th and most of the 19th century is to go slow introduction, big, loud and extended first movement with strong themes, slower introspective second movement, something playful and dancey for the third, and something fast and very final for the fourth.
So why has Schoenberg tried to combine this with sonata form?
Well, perhaps it's because he's at his core a musical experimenter, a sort of engineer, and this is a new prototype. He's trying stuff out, seeing if it can work, but he's also showing that he understands the tradition of the 19th century, as we start the 20th, and that he understands it so well that he can play with it and manipulate it in order to sustain and give a shape to his music and his new approach to tonality that could otherwise be quite difficult to follow. By having two possible structural routes through the piece for people to follow, it sort of doubles the chances that they feel like they're clinging on to something.
You've alluded to his approach to tonality, but this isn't serialism yet, is it?
No. Serialism is coming. It's his big idea. It's his Summa Theologica. But this is before that, on his journey from Wagnerian chromata angst of sort of guru leader all the way to atonality. It's not tonal, but it's not serialist either. We're about halfway in between. I think of it as an antitonal experiment just as much as it's a structural experiment. Having said that, there are some aspects of serialism here. Schoenberg is still looking for ways of removing the hierarchies that Western music has had built in for generations. It's a bit like how my grandpa anthropomorphizes the chocolates within a rose's tin.
Of course it is, yeah.
Me, I just like the pink and orange ones, with the cream in. In musical terms, I'm prioritising two similar pitches, maybe sounding something like a tonic and a dominant. Grandpa Pete is a chocolate egalitarian and wouldn't want to just eat one or two in case he hurt the feelings of all the others. So he won't eat a pink one again until he's tried every other flavour. Is it a shortcut to diabetes? Perhaps. But musically, that's called a tone row. You can't come back to a single pitch until you've heard every other one. It could sound like this. Or this. Or you could stack all of your chocolate notes at once and consume them all in one go like this. Yum! Composers would go on to apply this rotation principle to everything from note duration to articulation and dynamics. In the Chamber Symphony, Schoenberg applies other ways of breaking down that orange-pink tonic-dominant primacy, but he does it using the kind of organic structures they loved in the 19th century. It's time for a good organic metaphor. Which one would you like, Tim? From acorns we get mighty oak trees, or a tiny trickle of a stream growing into a mighty river, or my favourite, from the DNA encoded in mosquito blood, you can build a lethal theme park.
Yeah, I definitely want the Jurassic Park one, thanks.
Of course. So Schoenberg has all the DNA for the 23 themes in the Chamber Symphony, all encoded within the first few bars of Mosquito Blood. They sound like this. That includes a few crucial elements. This chord of fourths, a stretched version of this chord of augmented fourths, a three-step chromatic ascent and descent that sounds a bit like a wonky James Bond, a very Star Trek transporter whole tone chord, and a long-term resolution of an A-flat to an A natural. All except the final one of these are basically anti-tonal. They break down that tonic-dominant pink and orange cream roses chocolate hierarchy. These DNA strands don't lend themselves to creating a firm sense of being in any one key. The last one does. It basically fits into a normal key conformation, the perfect cadence. But the rest of these genetic components defy that kind of gesture, and all of the 23 themes can be seen to be dino offspring of Schoenberg's original 3 bars of Mosquito Blood. So, for instance, the first theme we hear in the horns is taking that chord of fourths and just playing each note one after the other, rather than all at once. Some are more complicated, like the first subject heard in the cellos. It starts with a fourth, like the horns, then the stretched augmented fourth, before a Star Trek transporter melody. In each of these cases, he's taken something that was vertical harmony and made it into a horizontal melody. This becomes this. A single moment is extrapolated into a whole section. I think subconsciously it makes us feel the piece is really complete, and it's why even though it's not tonal, we can feel when there's a wrong note, or maybe more pertinently for most listeners, it isn't just random plinky-plonky notes. There are no spares. Over the course of his career, Schoenberg would go on to demonstrate that music could exist outside of the boundaries of tonality. But like any innovator, there's a process that got him to that final goal of serialism, that would disrupt classical music composition for the best part of a century. What makes him a particular kind of genius is that even this prototype is a separately wonderful piece of music that is rich in original ideas and connections to its forebears. Message of this week's analysis is don't throw away your rough drafts. Show you're working, and don't be afraid to abbreviate.